I asked Ian Hazacostas when I took the trip to Blizzard Entertainment why we don't have a living, breathing world. Well, Guild Wars 2 does, and it's not quite what I expected. Let's take a look. When I checked my encounter journal, I saw these things called living worlds, and I couldn't help but realize that several of them were locked. Inaccessible. I had to purchase them. Now remember, Guild Wars 2 is not a subscription-based game, so it makes sense that there's certain content that's monetized, and I took the assumption then that if this is not part of like the core game and its expansions, which I have, this is supplemental content. This is extras, like going out of your way to read some extra lore, things like that, a little bit of extra stuff. And I found out that Living World Season 1 was removed from the game for many, many years and was then brought back by sort of popular demand, and they now included it in the version of the game that I had. But I wanted to get onto the expansions. I've got a character that's missing talent points, and I can clear the entire base game's maps to get hero points to do it, but for my current spec tree that I have, this elite specialization of Vindicator, I need 200 hero points, and I think if in the base game alone, there's only 189, and I've already collected quite a bunch of them. So I can't get that until I get to the expansions, and I'm excited to get there. Apparently my DPS is going to triple at some point. I want that to happen, and so I was itching to get into the expansions. And then my Twitter happened, and my Twitter was like, if you don't play Living World Season 1, I will come to your fucking house on Christmas, and I will piss all over the presents of your children. I swear to God. I was like, whoa. Okay. Respect the story, Mike. You did it with FF14. I did, but I also enjoyed the FF14 story, including A Realm Reborn, better than I enjoyed the Guild Wars one. That's just a fact. That game is known for its story. Even at its weakest in A Realm Reborn, it was still a very, very good story, and I was far more into that. So the story I had was cool in the core game, but then had that weird Zaitan ending, so I wasn't like inspired to do it. But at the same time, I do want to know what the devs saw as a problem. I know my problems with the core game. What did they see as the problems and what they need to immediately fix? I thought, okay, fine. We'll give Living World 1 a shot. Why not? We've got to investigate these things, see what they're all about. But my expectation was something pretty short. Something that I would compare to a mid-patch of FF14 story stuff, similar to WoW stuff, where, you know, you get a few cutscenes and generally it fleshes out the story, etc., etc., etc. So that was my expectation. And once again, was incorrect. Living World is, and I probably should have got this from the name, is aptly named because it is a living, breathing world. The world map itself is changing and things are happening in the world. And it was great to find out that they had teasers to things going on. Mysterious things were happening in zones before the Living World ever launched, indicating that something strange was happening and something was coming, something was brewing under the veil. And that's what Living World was. So I started it off and received a little letter in the mail to get it kick-started, and immediately noticed dramatic changes. Now, after completing this and my team then filling me in on the details and doing the research on it, this is a revamped Living World 1. It is not exactly as Living World 1 was originally. They remade it, remastered it, however you want to call it, for the modern era, and it only came back last year. And it does contain some things that are present in the end game of Guild Wars 2 now. But they're very good things, which is great, such as simple, basic stuff, like actual marking the quest, the story-related mobs, the objective mobs. That has been a bugbear of mine for ages, especially with the heart things out in the open world, is that they just don't kind of point you in the right direction of where they are, and some of them have a massive radius. And you can be looking around for 2 or 3 minutes like, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be killing. I have the quest text, but I'm judging it based on when the quest sort of disappears because I've walked too far away from the radius, and then I come back and it reappears. So it's somewhere in this area. This time they just mark them. Wonderful. Thank you. And they also changed a lot of the maps that I did in the instance content to being much more linear, like properly designed linear. So it's not a straight corridor, but it's clear where you're supposed to go. And that was so wonderful. Many times in some of the little instance spots, I was getting mixed up, confused as to where to go. And it was frustrating. Now it's like, it's very plain which direction you're supposed to be going in. There isn't multiple paths that lead to nothing. That kind of thing was going on. But I will say, I didn't realize it was episodic. I thought it'd be kind of one quest chain. Where in fact, although it is an overarching story, it's many episodes that were released over a period of time which culminate in the full Living World episodes. This was like almost like time gating, but really sort of thick, juicy content in each single one, which I really liked. And the next thing they did, and I wonder, and I'm going to have to do some more research on this, whether they drew inspiration from Final Fantasy on this, is they dramatically reduced the amount of characters and created just like 5 or 6 important ones. Ones that I remember their name. Thank you. Thank you. Because if I want to be connected to your game, I need to give a shit about the characters. And the only way I'm going to do that is if you don't have 50 characters doing various things. And they clearly took note of that immediately. We're like, okay, we have way too many characters in the story. We need to squash that down. And we essentially formed the Guild Wars 2 equivalent of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, which is what I'm guessing right now is what will continue on. I know Rox, I know Braum, I know Logan, I know Timey. I know these people now. I know Marjorie Delacroix, I know Neris. I'm now familiar with them. I know what they're like. I know her sister. I know Queen Jennah. And now I understand. I care a lot more. These characters integrated. Not that I like them and dislike them. I like Rox. I like Marjorie. I like Neris. Timey's okay. Really hate Braum. Meet your friends. Oh, who we got? Oh, no, man. Who invites him anywhere? I wouldn't invite that guy to open a tin of beans that was already open.
Look at this place. Some say the humans are at the end of their rope. Don't worry, you brought me along. 2 of us is way better than 1 Ritlock.
The only date that guy can get is on his fucking tombstone.
I
really hate this youngster, Giga Chad, wannabe loser. I really hate Logan. He's a foot sniffer. 100% that guy sniffs toes of Queen Jennah. This Simpimus Maximus is what he is. But that's why I need to feel connected. I need characters I like. I need characters I dislike. And that's how I'm starting to feel. So I already felt much more integrated into the story in this one. So the gameplay was much, much better. Besides episode 1, which almost put me off finishing Living World. I'll be honest with you. Of these, I think it's 5 or 6 episodes per Living World. Episode 1 was just like horde mode. Now, it did not help that the instance kept crashing on me. Apparently, it was an FPS bug. I had to limit my FPS to 60 to stop the instance from crashing. It crashed at the same point 3 times in a row. So it probably felt like I was in there for much longer than I would have been if it had not crashed. But I definitely felt like I was just doing horde mode for a while, and it wasn't particularly engaging. And then, you know, it would move forward, and then it was another horde mode, and then move forward, and another horde mode. But I will accept the bias there is that the instance kept crashing, so I ended up redoing it like 3 times to get through it. But it did nearly put me off continuing with Living World. I was like, oh, so it's kind of like a bit of lore and kill some enemies, a bit of lore. And I'm glad I didn't, because the story really picked up pace in the second part. Like, from episode 2 onwards, the story really kicked into gear when it involved murder mystery and involved, like, gaining pets, like gaining a pet called Frostbite and the connection to that and finding out, like, the drives and motivation of these characters. And then the actual story picked up. I liked that we had a villain I could invest in better than Zaitan. We had Scarlet, and Scarlet was interesting, a good backstory, an engineer, a genius gone mad and driven by sorts of things, and building giant mega robots, fighting like Liberty Prime on various platforms was really fun. But the most important part that I got out of Living World, besides a much better story, thank God, really picked up, and much better gameplay overall, was really good. Nice big set pieces, very epic, was that they changed the world. This was wonderful. This was really cool and culminated it well with an awesome battle, which made... I did not know up until this point why the main city of Lion's Arch kept changing. Sometimes it was a pirate village, and then sometimes it was a really sort of Stormwind-esque statue place with giant lobster buildings and things like that. And I was like, why does this place keep flipping? Clearly, at some point, they redesigned this city, and I didn't know why. And now Living World fleshed it out for me. It's like what actually happened there. And that was really cool. Once it led towards, I was like, oh, okay, now this is going to make sense. It wasn't just a case of, hey, we're redesigning this city in the next expansion, just giving you a heads up. It fit into the story as to why they did that. And it led into this living, breathing world concept of here's the maps that we presented you with, and over time we're going to change these maps because our timeline is continuing, the clock is ticking, and things are going to evolve and they're going to change. Love this. This is what I've been missing, particularly from WoW and a little bit from FF. FF does it better by just changing skyboxes and things when events are happening in the story, so the world does feel like it's under attack or in danger. WoW's done it a little bit, like putting Argus in the sky, but for the most part, the world could be coming to an end in WoW and the world proceeds as normal, and that is intentional. After speaking with Ian, it's like, yeah, we can do living, breathing worlds, but it, that needs 3D artists. It needs a lot of people that also create raid tiers, that also create other content, and we have to decide where that resource is best spent. And his point on it was, we can do this living, breathing world, sure. But how many of you are going to visit that versus how many people are going to play the new raid? It's not even close. And after experiencing it, yes, it's awesome. Am I going to go back to those zones and check them out? Not really. Not unless they give me a reason to, which is kind of our point with the sword in World of Warcraft, is like, for me, there should be a town there now. There should be a city. People would be investigating this giant sword of cosmic origin that's sticking out of the world, trying to make armor from it, weapons, trading resources, all kinds of scavengers would be there trying to get some stuff. The Azerite leaking out of the world. But unless you give me a reason to go there, you're right. All that design work and stuff is probably not going to pay off. Just as I don't often visit the Sunwell city that I can't even remember the fucking name of. I don't know. I can't even remember. Kel'Thas City. I genuinely can't remember. Silvermoon. There it is. Silvermoon City. Yeah, I don't visit Silvermoon City. I don't visit the Exodar. I go to Orgrimmar. I don't visit Thunderbluff. You're kind of right, yeah. Unless I have a regular reason to visit those places, which comes hand in hand with creating yet more content. I see your point. I've definitely been to the new raid far more times and the dungeons far more times. And yeah, probably an extra dungeon would make more sense. So I see the point. Not to say that experiencing a natural living, breathing world and an evolution of the original maps in a natural way that makes sense and comes with a story wasn't fantastic as well. It was a great experience. And I will be doing all the living worlds now. Without question. It's not a problem. I'm going to be doing Living World 2 before we start the Heart of Thorns expansion and do it gladly, as it is bringing new things to it. Now, one of the things that I discovered for the first time while doing Living World was the achievement system. I wasn't really paying attention to this throughout my base game playthrough. And the achievement system is something that may interest a lot of you that are collectors, is that throughout the Living World episodes, instances, dungeons, we can call them that, although you do them in NPCs and stuff, there are a multitude of achievements to be earned inside. Now, these don't just reward achievement points. They actually give cosmetics, they give armor sets, they give all these things, pets, titles, along the way if you want to do them. And it gives you, if you're a collector for sure, it gives you a lot of reason to replay these instances. I didn't know about it until I started picking up some ore in Living World Season 1, and it said, you have collected 1 out of 5. I was like, oh, there's like 5 ores in this that are hidden away, and that's what it was. It was a mine, and off to the sides there was, if I did a little jumping puzzle or something like that, there was ore to pick up. So I was like, okay, I'll do this. And then when I got 5, it upgraded to 15. I was like, oh god, there's another 10 inside here. And it's like, yeah, the achievement has levels to it. You got like the base bit, but there's like, to do the full thing, you need to do them. I was like, okay. And then I discovered other things that were hidden away, like lost notes, hidden memoirs, things like that, that were also hidden away throughout the Living World progress. Give you a reason to sort of new game plus it and go back and do it to get cosmetics and things. But I've given up on that now. Because I tried really, really hard and got 14 or 15, or I was very frustrated because the nature of the instance brought it to an end. And so I was very frustrated at that point. And I'm not an achievement hunter as it is, and I generally don't chase cosmetics. It's not my cup of tea, but a great reason to go back. What I will say, though, for me, the thing that I enjoyed the most was the clear development in boss design. And it's some of the most fun I have. And I ended up fighting a knight at the top of the Nightmare Tower. And I didn't know I've killed it now. And it took me 45 minutes to defeat it. It was really hard. And I got an achievement for it. And I didn't know I was doing it for achievement. I did it because I thought I could kill it, although it was extraordinarily hard and it kept killing me over and over and over again. But I'm a stubborn fool when it comes to things like this. If I feel like there's a way I can do something like this, I'll probably bash my head against it. And I've done it many, many times throughout the years I've been playing games. It's like, this is doable if I outplay this encounter. And we did manage it, and it was stupid of me to do it, but I did it. But it was some of the most fun I'd had. Fuck that guy! Fuck that guy! Woo! We got there, dude! Oh! Moments like that really get me fired up in video games when I have this sort of skill-based thing. I'm rubbish with jumping puzzles. I'm terrible at those, but if you give me something like a boss fight and like a Dark Souls fight, and that's why I love the Souls games, that I can outplay in some way, then I'm going to bash my head about it. And that was great, because all the boss encounters that I had pretty much throughout the living world were considerably better than anything I had faced in the base game. And that is clearly something that the devs addressed, especially after Zaitan, no doubt, is like, we really need to step up our game on these boss encounters, especially if we're doing a big build-up to these encounters and then disappointing everybody they cross the finish line. That's not a good thing to do. And it's worth me, for my personal taste, to play through the living world, not only for the story, which is good now, and I'm getting the full world picture, but to encounter all these bosses and have fun with them, especially because a lot of them have interesting mechanics. They're not just like DPS fiestas. There's more to them going on. They're not all winners by any means, but it was such a good indication of what the mindset of the devs was at the time, is we keep building to these encounters and they're disappointing. That needs to change. We need less build-up, because I mentioned in the base game story how much they built up the Zaitan encounter, only for it to be just a flat fall on its face. Less build-up, bigger payoff. Put the resources into that side of things. And that's a great change. Not only did they change how the camera works in the cutscenes, so we lost this weird sort of comic book style where you were separated out and people would fade in and fade out. We had a nice swooping camera of everybody talking. My character stopped talking. Praise be to that. Yes. My character has shut her mouth. Thank God. And now we're actually getting in a more immersive environment as well. So it's so cool for me to see. And yes, I know this is remastered. In fact, Living World 2 might take a step back from this. How the devs recognize those same issues that I found playing through the base game. That I was like, yeah, this is just not working for me. And they've immediately addressed it. And so where this goes from here, I don't know. Our current game plan, Living World Season 2, then into Heart of Thorns. And get that. I'm sure I'm going to get a fly mount or a boat or something, because I keep seeing them everywhere. And I only have, right now, my biggest complaint about Guild Wars 2 right now, I only have one mount. I got a Raptor at like level 20, and that's all I have. And there's a lot of mounts in this game. And people tell me it's the best mount game in the world. And I don't know how I get a singular different mount yet. I don't know, but I'm sure it'll come. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure it will happen. So I hope you're enjoying this journey as we go along with it. I'll be back soon with probably entering Heart of Thorns and see where we're up to for there. Thank you very much, guys. In terms of Final Fantasy XIV, though, our Project MMO is not just in Guild Wars 2, of course. We're still in World of Warcraft. We are starting Destiny 2 shortly as well. And our Final Fantasy XIV progress is Savage Raiding. That's starting as well. I'll be back for you with that one. Bye, guys. Turn the lights on. Cold. It's burning my eyes. It's late now. In front of this chest. It's 7 a.m.